Hey guys, it's Dan, your host, your Dan's Reviews, and today I'm back for another video for today. This one's going to be doing another video for The Walking Dead universe. We're going to talk about every single ending that The Walking Dead has come up with over the years for the different versions, and how we rank them from worst to best. Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today. This one's going to be doing a review for The Walking Dead universe, and in today's video, we're going to be going over all of The Walking Dead universe endings over the years, and which ones would I say rank from worst to best. So, this is a video that I've been thinking about doing for a long time, especially because The Walking Dead franchise has kind of reached a point where a lot of things have ended. You know what I'm saying? Like, The Ones Who Live ended. They have said there are no plans for a second season, despite what I've seen some people say online, but I haven't heard any confirmation about a season 2. It sounds like it really was a 6-episode series. So I'm taking that. I'm taking the ending of all the different Walking Dead brands, at least things that were either canceled or that were concluded, right? So anything that is either canceled or concluded, at least as long as it's ended, that is, warranted of a position on this list. So, we're going to go through them. Of course, this is just my opinion. You guys, of course, can leave yours down below. I have a total of 7 endings that The Walking Dead has provided for us. So, let's get right into this. Starting things off with, in my opinion, the worst ending The Walking Dead universe has put out is Tales of The Walking Dead. Mostly because how horrible the last episode was, is why this is the worst ending. This show was canceled. It was canceled a while ago. And obviously, a lot of people have wondered if we're ever going to get another Tales season. They had mentioned a rumor about something called More Tales of the Walking Dead, which isn't even supposed to be tied to this. This version of Tales of the Walking Dead is done. You know what I'm saying? So, and in my opinion, it's the worst ending Walking Dead has put out. They literally did like crawling little figurines on frickin' walls. They played with like horror crap, like ghost crap, which is not Walking Dead universe at all. It's ridiculous. And honestly, I'll never understand why they did something like this. It was awful. The characters were annoying as all get out. I didn't care when they died. The overall just idea of this like old woman that they kill to come back and haunt them, literally, and they don't even focus on the dead. They don't even tell you what's going on half the time. This boyfriend is evil just because he's evil, no. It's a horrible episode with horrible execution, and the fact that that is the way that they end Tales of the Walking Dead, with both of these characters just dying, and you feel like you've wasted your time for 40 minutes, I think that's easily the worst ending Walking Dead has done, because of how horrible it is. And I honestly feel like this is a factor into why this first season didn't continue into a second. Because, look at episodes like this. You'd easily get the idea. Number 6 is then going to be Fear the Walking Dead. Now, Fear the Walking Dead's ending is just no logic. There is just no logic to this ending. Now, I will admit this. There are a couple things about this final episode that I will highlight, because there's not many good things. But I will say this. I like Dwight taking the leadership of Padre to fight the Horde. I like that. He's a badass. I like it. I like Alicia coming back, even though I don't like the way it was done, because it felt very convenient. I like the idea of her coming back for the final episode, definitely. You want to cap it off, and people would have asked questions if you didn't do that, And I also like the ending that they gave Daniel and Victor. I like the last scene between them two. I think it's good. But those are the only compliments I have at this point. Everything else is bad. The Madison pointing the gun at Luciana, trying to get a frickin' ride over to God knows where, with Tracy held captive as well, capturing a little girl. Yeah, that's really frickin' smart. The arguments that the group kept having, you had frickin' what's his face, Troy's right hand man, I forget his name. That's how irrelevant he is. Russell, that's his name. Russell was there. He was like sitting there, like saying, "If Troy taught us one thing, it's how to herd the dead." It's like, oh my god, shut up, dude. And Dwight fed him to the walkers, though. I appreciate that. See what I mean? Like, Dwight's good this episode. But I'll tell you, look, the battle was awful. They barely showed anything. It was just a bunch of slow-mo, like, oh, It was stupid, as you got this stupid narration, like, all the things that Madison has done, all the things that we have done for Padre, while you see all them, oh, it's like, what are you doing, dude? Seriously. Like, and then you've got frickin' Strand that's like sitting there. He closes the door. He's like, it can't end like this. It can't end like this. Ah, you know. And then it just cuts, and it's the next day, and the battle has just been skipped over completely. And you know what's funny? We never get an answer on it. You know what we do cut to though? Walker Troy, which for some reason Walker Troy has his jacket on. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you got Tracy that buries her father with her bare hands. Yeah, a young little girl that's like probably what, 8 years old, 7 years old, stuff like that. Yep, apparently that makes sense. And you've got all that goes down. You got Tracy pointing guns at people just for no reason, shooting Madison, and then apparently the medallions stopped the bullet from killing Madison, because that makes absolute sense. And you've got just you know. And on top of that, you've got frickin' Madison that apparently gets pulled out of the rubble like a day after. Yeah, because she would have totally oxygen down there. Hell, she can't breathe on her own out there in the frickin' normal world. Rather than being down there crushed under a bunch of rocks and stuff, and then somehow frickin' Tracy managed to pull her out and saved her life and all that stuff, and she could still just be alive perfectly fine. Madison just wakes up from it, and it's all perfectly good. Like, and then on top of that, it's like they just let it be where it's like, oh, Madison, oh yeah, well, she's gonna act like she's dead. You know, she's not gonna tell the group that she's alive. She's just gonna let them think that she dies, and that's the end. Then they just go back to a burned out LA. Like, who cares, man? Honestly, it's ridiculous. This ending, man, I tell you, look, Fear is known for this stuff, so it's not a surprising ending. But I will say this: besides Dwight being kind of a badass, and you know, I mean, even Alicia's return, I like the idea of it, but the execution wasn't that great. And like I said, Daniel and Strand's final scene was good. It was fine. Aside from that, this is not a good ending. That's why it's better than the Tales ending, is because at least I have some things, and I'm at least following characters that I somewhat care about. I mean, not many of them by that point, but, you know, at least, you know, like, there was a time that I cared about Alicia. There was a time that I did care about, you know, Victor. There was a time I cared about Daniel. And now I don't. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, at least it's characters that I once cared for, you know what I'm saying? So it automatically, for me, it makes it a bit more of an important ending for me, at least. Now, number 5 is then going to be The World Beyond. Now, this is actually not a half-bad ending. You know, the crap I say about this show is definitely true. Although the one thing I will say about it is that it's not an awful ending. As a matter of fact, I'd call it decent. It's a decent conclusion. You know, it has qualities to it. It definitely does. You know, you have set up for the ones who live in this, which is okay, I guess. I mean, it doesn't really go anywhere, but Huck's death, I thought, worked. That one worked. I liked some of the final scenes with her. You know, Elton getting bit was good for suspense. I wish it was Iris that got bit, admittedly, but they knew that nobody would care. You know, and there were a lot of things in this that were cool, like Felix fighting that one guy I thought was pretty good, but then you also had some cringe in here too, like the freaking Iris stuff where she like flips Hope off and stuff. She just leaves to do whatever. You've got them in this like underground lab for the rest of their lives. I'm just like, I mean, that's like the most just made up ending you could ever come up with, honestly. And like I said, it wasn't all bad, but I didn't care. Because here's the difference, right, between Fear the Walking Dead and The World Beyond. I don't care about anybody in The World Beyond. I don't care what happens to them. I don't care if Elton died. I mean, it would suck because he was one of the only half, you know, decent characters, but I wouldn't care. You know what I'm saying? With Fear, I'll say this. If Fear the Walking Dead killed Daniel or Strand or stuff like that, regardless of how I feel, you would get a reaction out of me, for sure. If they killed a World Beyond character, you wouldn't really get much of a reaction out of me. I didn't care about the cast of that show. I didn't care about the ending. Like I said, the ending is not half bad, which is why I put it above, obviously, Fear and, you know, Tales. But I'll say this, I still don't care. The ending didn't do much for me. It was just like, okay, here's a bunch of mediocre characters that get a conclusion, which completely felt just like random and made up, honestly. It didn't even feel like that was like the end game of, you know, what they were trying to do. But anyway, I digress. Not a great ending, but not a bad ending either. It's a decent ending, you know. The next one is at number 4, The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. Now, this ending, man, I'll tell you, look, this is why it's better than the World Beyond ending, okay? Because it's Rick Grimes. It's Rick Grimes, and I care more about Rick, Michonne, and stuff like that. and I was more invested in the plot, and we get the family reunion at the end with Judith and RJ and stuff like that. Though I will say, this finale still has problems. I don't like the echelon briefing. I don't like what it sets up for the franchise. I don't like how the CRM is easily wiped out, but I also appreciate some of the character moments between Rick and Michonne in that episode. I like the family reunion. I like the ending point. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm more grateful towards it than The World Beyond or Fear or stuff like that, you know? But I will say, if you've seen my review for this episode, you know my frustrations with the end of The Ones Who Live. Absolutely. Next up, number 3 is then going to be The Walking Dead Telltale. So, the Telltale Walking Dead games, I would say, ended in a really, really good way, actually. It did. It ended in a really, really good way. It had a lot of good elements of what made the game what it was, you know, over time. And I liked Clem's conclusion. The only thing I don't think I really cared for with the ending of this game is that I felt like they faked out Clem in a way that was kind of like, okay, what are you doing type of thing, and then she just randomly shows up at the end and it's like, oh, she's fine, you know? It's like, oh, okay, really? Like, you could have shown more of that, you know? But I'll say this, the final episode was good. I liked a lot of what went down, the fighting and stuff, AJ trying to protect Clem all the way through. There were some emotional, you know, ties and stuff like that. It felt like a series finale. And I thought it was handled in a really good way. I'd say it's near perfect. It is. It's a great conclusion. Number 2 is then going to be the Walking Dead television series. Now, the Walking Dead television series is a tough one because this isn't an ending. You know what's funny? This is the difference between this ending and every other ending on this list. This is the one thing that doesn't conclude. It concludes, but then it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? They conclude things with the Commonwealth. They kill off Rosita as the big final death. You've got Luke and Jules in there thrown in there as well. It is very well executed. You've got Daryl's speech about them not being the Walking Dead. You've got the fight with the walkers, the big explosion, the battle, stuff like that. You had a lot of really good stuff. It was overall well handled, you know? And then you get the ending, which I'd say is what kills this from being the best ending of The Walking Dead. Is that you had Daryl leave on his bike, and you had Rick Grimes in the mud. You know what I'm saying? Which is just setting up for France, setting up for The Ones Who Live, and now we're in a position where Ones Who Live kind of ended, you know? And then you have Daryl Dixon that's just going to drag on for many years. That's why this is not the best ending of The Walking Dead. I'm telling you. That's why. It's because it's not an ending. It was an ending, and then you got the last 5 minutes, and then they tell you, oh, wait a minute, it's not over, you know? And that's the frustrating thing. And this is why I'm going to pass the torch to, in my opinion, my favorite and the best ending of the Walking Dead brand. The Walking Dead comic book series. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, Dan, Rick's death is stupid. Yes, I agree with that. But I'm talking about the final issue. I'm talking about the final hurrah. I'm talking about after the time skip, when you look at it from issue 193 as a final episode, just like we talked about with the final episode of Fear, final episode of World Beyond, final episode of this. I would say The Walking Dead 193 is the best version of a conclusion The Walking Dead's ever had because it's an actual conclusion. It doesn't bleed over into spinoffs. It doesn't drag out the plot. It is strictly a 20-year time skip with an older Carl and showing the future of what Rick died for, you know, and showing the way things are. It was an extended issue. It was like the length of like 3 single issues. It was really, really well made. It was really well told. And you had the story of Rick Grimes, the statue. You had the story of The Walking Dead as Carl's daughter looks at him and says, read it again. It's poetic. It's beautiful. And it left me, you know, after being frustrated with Rick's death. I remember the next month I read that. And as much as it was jarring that was the final issue, I remember reading that by the time I got to the last page and I was like, I can live with that. You know what I'm saying? I can live with that. That was beautiful. It was beautiful. But I will say this. The advertising at the end of the comics, pretty horrible. But the end of the comics, at least the final issue, I think it's the best version of a Walking Dead ending. I really do. Especially when I see this dragged out franchise of the TV universe right now. Easily. Absolutely. So, let me know your thoughts down below. What are your favorite endings of the Walking Dead universe from worst to best? Post comments down below, guys. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoy videos like this, make sure to click the subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos of The Walking Dead. She'll follow me at Dan's The Walking Dead Reviews on Instagram, guys. And of course, I'll see you guys very soon for more videos of The Walking Dead universe. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and peace out.